Hello listeners, if you have not watched Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, and you wish not to be spoiled on any of the details of this movie, you might want to skip the first half of this podcast. So skip to the 47-minute mark and we'll start talking about other subjects besides Star Wars.
Everything we know, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. Join us on the Simulationist podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Simulationist podcast. This is the 173rd iteration of the show, recorded on the 27th of December 2015. My name is Josh Levin, and with me as always...
A very festive Ryan Kirkby.
Very festive.
I'm wearing an actual Christmas sweater.
And a very festive Festivus to you too, all you festive...
I won't lie, I've been enjoying some of the more Twitter-friendly Festivus rants.
Uh-huh.
Yes, just hearing people just let go of their anger seems very entertaining.
Of course, all the other holidays also happened. I mean, yeah, we had Christmas, as did everyone else.
How was your Christmas, Josh?
I had a good Christmas. It was nice. Spent it with my parents and siblings. Yeah, got some presents.
Yay! Anything awesome, highly notable presents?
My brother got me like a Coca-Cola.
Ooh.
Like in glass bottles.
Oh, nice. I'm
not sure if I should keep the glass bottles. I used to have some glass bottles, but they kind of were like clutter. I didn't like having them to have them. I know some people are like, ooh, collector's items, Coca-Cola glass
only if you
bottles,
put them up somewhere nice.
Yeah.
Like I've got the Count Chocula box that I got, and I made sure to seal that up, and that's nice up in the kitchen, so it's displayed in an appropriate area.
Right.
But it's not something I put all over the mantelpiece.
Okay. Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, the main part of the present is the Coke, which I drank.
Oh, no, could you get yourself some colored sand and make something festive on the inside there?
No, maybe. I mean...
Turn it into art?
Yeah, possibly.
Then sell it for a profit. And that's how you do it.
Yeah, and I got I got a couple of books, but I haven't read them yet, so I can't review them yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
That was my Christmas. Just having fun, eating lots of food.
I'm happy we decided against going for a whole lot. My wife was thinking about getting like half a turkey. I'm like, there's only going to be 3 people eating it. You, me, and a 3-year-old kid. Just we went instead for a nice small ham that cooked up very quickly, very nicely, and was amazing.
Cool.
So, yeah. And, of course, stuffing, because you got to have stuffing. It wasn't stuffed in the ham, though, so don't worry.
Oh, yeah, ham and stuffing. Huh. Okay.
It still worked, surprisingly. Yeah. Other than that, my Christmas went pretty well, but Zoe wound up having a bit of a meltdown this year. Too much, too hyper, oh my god, I finally get to open the stuff. Oh my god, it's all the stuff I want. And then, like a change in pattern and all this and that, and she wound up having just a complete meltdown.
Okay.
Yeah, just absolutely lost it. Just screaming, crying, and all that stuff. I don't want to do this, I want to... But she wound up recovering in time for supper that night, so I was like, okay.
All right. Well,
she's still earning her Christmas presents back.
Oh, really?
It was that bad.
Well, I'm glad we got it out on the podcast for everyone.
Well, that's the thing, though, is she's young. Young kids thrive on cohesive patterns. And Christmas is a very disruptive day in that regard.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that's something they don't tell you about when you're like young parents or things. Like, no, listen, this stuff is going to happen. Because things are going to change, and kids don't always react so well to change compared to adults.
Yeah, that's weird, because Christmas, maybe a little bit, it's designed for a little bit slightly older children, but I guess there's a sweet spot in age where they're old enough to be able to handle the change, probably starting at maybe age 5.
I'm hoping 4.
4 or 5. But they have to be still young enough to really enjoy Christmas, because once they get to 12 and 13, it's a little bit, it's
still...
different.
I don't know, if you ask my parents, they said it was still great Christmases. It's just a lot more subdued and relaxed once we got a little older.
Yeah, it's not magic anymore. It's just
nice
there's
a
to
magic
be with
in
family.
it, like a chance for everybody to sleep in and come off, it's like, okay, I guess we'll have a nice brunch. someone put the waffles down, I'll start cooking eggs. And so it's like, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's
true.
just not like, oh my God, and then we ran up the stairs, and oh, look what we saw. It was all there, and there was snow in the background as the open window, pour light through and all that. Oh my gosh. It's not that kind of magical, but it is a nice, relaxed, everyone having a fun day magical. Which is still pretty magical and family related. So, I'm looking forward to that when that time comes. Until then, I will do my best to enjoy Zoe as she unwraps just a little bit. Oh my God, it's this! I love this. But I got some really good things this year. My brother Adam, he got me the original trilogy for Star Wars, which is good because on this last week I saw Star Wars Episode 7, and I was thinking to myself, okay, I got 1 year to get my daughter's sense of concentration to improve enough that I can take her to Episode 8 next year.
Right.
I want her to be a part of this.
Right.
I also got Ant-Man and the Evil Dead remake, and the Evil Dead remake. I've been wanting to watch it, but it's not something I'm even going to start thinking about watching until Zoe's down and asleep.
Right. Yeah.
This is not a movie for 3-year-old eyes.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's the thing is sometimes you gotta wait to get the best part of your present, right? Oh my goodness! So the other thing, the sweater I'm wearing was a present that I got. It was quite nice.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Christmas sweater.
And enough money from various sources that we're going to wind up putting Zoe into some martial arts classes later on this upcoming New Year.
Oh, that's a nice Christmas present.
The
gift of self-defense.
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't provide just self-defense. For kids, it gives discipline, exercise, and confidence.
Okay. Cool.
And if there's one thing Zoe can really use after this Christmas, it's a little bit more discipline.
Right.
The one weird thing though for Zoe that she got was I got her a little blind bag because she likes watching the blind bag openings on YouTube. She really enjoys it. That's why I think she likes Shopkins so much.
A blind bag?
Yes. It'd be when you get a package of something 1 of 27, when you open up and you don't know which one you've got until you open it.
Okay.
Like a booster pack from Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I got her one. When she was in Walmart, and I took her for an expedition. Oh, what do you think? Do you like this? Do you like this? Does this look good? And see which stuff that caught her eye. And one of the things she saw was a Minecraft little box. It's $3 or $4, whatever. So it's okay, well, I'm coming back and I'm picking that up because the price is right. Make a stocking stuffer out of it.
Right.
And so she gets it, and she opens it up, and she takes one look at the character, and she goes, Alex. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess she just gave it a name right away.
Right.
That's very imaginative. I'm really digging that. And then later on, I'm thinking, as I'm sitting at my computer, it's everything else on there basically had a name. So let's just find out, what's this character's name? And it's the Alex skin from the 1.8 Minecraft. I haven't played 1.8. I did not know about the Alex skin, and I have no idea how my daughter got the name right with all of that against her.
Right.
It was how did you do that?
How is she more culturally aware than you are?
Minecraft culturally aware. That's what blew my mind, too. It's how did she know about the 1.8 skin? I didn't know.
Yeah, maybe she should be doing this podcast.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind trying to say hello a lot of times, but she's much more visually active than auditorily, so we'd have to record it, with a camera rather than just video or audio recording stuff.
All right.
Well, thoughts for down the road. But it still blows my mind as I'm thinking I try and pay attention to all the the stuff that's always watching on her tablet when she's watching that stuff because I want to make sure if something goes wrong and she clicks on a wrong link, I'm able there to stop it before she sees something she shouldn't, or at least too much of it. But I've never heard the Alex thing. I've never heard them mention Minecraft at all. It seems like it came out of completely nowhere. She knew it's Alex. Now she could have just guessed randomly and gotten it right, which is just an amazing stroke of luck. But I'm gonna be spending many nights awake just thinking, be going to sleep and all of a sudden, how did she know it was Alex? I still don't know. I'll never know.
Do you have a conspiracy notion, perhaps?
No, just that she decided to blow my mind on Christmas morning with something like that. That said, I've noted when I was looking up to find out the name of the character, that the blind bags aren't completely blind. There's a very subtle imprint coating on the bottom of the box.
Yeah, the SKU or whatever.
Yeah. But that's
the barcode.
Well, that's the thing is when I was getting the stuff for the Dungeons and Dragons figures from the Creo, the Series 1 had a blind bag that wasn't quite blind. It actually had a print over there underneath so I could get what I wanted right away. But the second one was a complete blind bag. There was nothing written anywhere to identify what was inside each one. Which was a shame because I would have spent a little cash to pick up some pretty sweet, awesome characters if I had known which one I was going to get. But this one is not quite blind bag, so we'll be making a quick trip on out tomorrow, maybe on Tuesday, and getting 2 or 3 more of them. That way I can play with Zoe and we'll have nice little Minecraft adventures. Hooray!
That sounds fun. So is Zoe excited about martial arts?
What's the thing?
And which art is, do you know?
Well, at that level, at 3 or 4.
MMA?
Yeah, we got Ronda Rousey. She's going to be training her personally, We think she's got a lot of talent, so we're sinking all our money into it. No, at that age, it's mostly just your basic kata stuff, punch, kick, run around, blow off some energy.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just martial arts, in quotes.
Well, no. They will, if she continues on, it will develop into a specific school of martial arts. But for 3-year-olds, there's only so much you can really teach them. And so it'll be, proper stance, wide stance, proper punch and kick stuff. The stuff that's in common with basically every martial art, the very basics.
Oh, I didn't know they all. That's interesting that they all have a common core or a common.
Well, you don't want to break your hand punching somebody, so they do have the common stuff. If you're going to punch, line up your knuckles, make sure the thumb is on the outside, and I'll be teaching, like I said, lots of discipline.
I love the thought of Zoe punching someone. Now Zoe, you don't want to break your knuckles when you punch.
Well, that's the thing. It's I've played with her before. I was okay, so I punch my hand, punch my hand, punch my hand, punch my hand. And I noticed about half the time she's going, with her thumb in when she's punching it. And, on a real punch, that's a good way to shatter your thumb. So, it's just
for all those times she's going to be throwing real punches.
I don't know. But, I'll be happy to say that, if she needs to throw a punch, that she knows how to do it properly and doesn't hurt herself in the process.
All right. Yeah, no. It sounds fun to me. Let me see. I'm not sure if
It's not really about the punching so much as it is, getting proper stance and proper form and learning the discipline. If he says punch, you punch, and punch, and punch, and everyone does it in unison.
Okay.
It's kind of like a game, and kicks work too. Her kicks, even wearing diapers, she's still able to kick higher than her waist, which is pretty darn good.
She's pretty young. The other thing I like about some martial arts, I did take one karate class. I didn't really follow through with it, but what I did enjoy I liked it more of almost like a dance form than a fighting.
There is a very sweet melody in martial arts. I did some jiu-jitsu back in the university days, and it's quite nice in some ways. It's a very short dance, because, unless you get onto a whole big old fight thing, it's just, practice this maneuver, but it is quite nice to have, and there is a certain beauty in it.
Yeah, and you see at competitions and stuff, not only there's fighting obviously where they fight each other, but they also have routines that they sort of memorize, and they do all these flips and moves and stuff.
I'm sure right now there's a thing with was an 8-year-old girl just rocking out.
Okay, you've seen that one on YouTube, yes.
I think everyone's
seen that on the Ellen show or something?
Yeah, she got onto Ellen and all that.
Yeah.
And Zoe likes Ellen, so if we train her hard enough, maybe she'll get to meet Ellen one day.
Yeah.
Hooray! But yeah, it's not really so much about the punching and the kicking as it is, just getting everything done in unison and training up on this and getting some good exercise in as opposed to just flailing around like a crazy maniac as kids are wont to do.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it'll be fun for her.
Well, very much so. we would not do this if Zoe hadn't already expressed an interest.
Okay.
Like, there have been times, like, I'm on Facebook and she goes, look, Dad, look over there. That's a yellow belt and an orange belt and a red belt.
Well, she likes the belts anyway.
And I'm like, oh, that's very good. She goes, you know, like, do you like martial arts? She goes, yeah, I'm going to get a black belt. So it's like, she already knows enough about belts to know that black is, like, one of the awesome ones, because her preference is purple, so she didn't say she wanted a purple belt.
All right. Well, I guess,
black.
I mean, you'll find out soon enough whether it's more of a fashion thing or of a actual, like, wanting to do the
if she wants to,
thing.
she wants to, because, I mean, she has mentioned it to her grandfather. He's like, yeah, I'm going to do martial arts and ballet, and I'm going to get a black belt, which I assume was in the martial arts, not the ballet.
Okay. It'd be cool if ballet had black belts.
Oh, you do have to do some very hard practicing, and like the ability to stand on the tips of your toes is nothing to be scoffed at. That is more power than I have in my feet. I'm not going to lie, and it's not something you can just pick up on the fly. It's something you really got to work at, and that's just standing still. Now you got to do that stuff as you're moving. Oh my goodness, very physically demanding. So I think they at least start on at least one of the moderate belts. Once they're up in front of people, they get that qualification.
All right.
But we'll see how things go. That is, of course, if they accept her. The 3-year-old range is not a guarantee. There are some kids that just aren't ready for it. And so they do a quick little evaluation. Is she ready? Can she listen? Can she pay attention? Some kids just don't listen. And if the kid is not going to listen, then the kid just can't be taught at that age for that. So the big question is, can Zoe, listen to a stranger and do as she's told? I think the answer is yes, but we'll find out. So, fingers crossed, good news. Hooray!
All right. Any other simulations, though, this
Well,
week?
I did see something in the theaters.
Okay, yeah.
It's called The Force Awakens. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. Apparently, it's a continuation of an old series. Something from, like, the 70s they're continuing on with. I don't know if it's very big and popular.
Yeah. I guess, like, it's made so much money, probably most of our listeners have probably seen it, I'm guessing.
Well, see, that's the thing. It says, it's made so much money, but how many times is that people going back to watching it again?
Yeah, a fair amount, I'm sure.
If I had the spare cash, I'd consider watching it again just to see if I can find the little things in the background stuff and what's going on there. Because, they're, like, they had to hide something in the background. Like, there's a lot of background to hide there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's lots of things to see.
So, did you see that movie?
Yeah, I saw it. I did.
Okay, so without trying to give out any spoilers, what did you think?
Okay, so we're not doing spoilers. Okay.
We're going to try and be spoiler-free as much as possible.
What did I think?
We can mention the characters in there, just not, like what happens to them, I suppose, too much.
It was an enjoyable and fun movie, I thought. I would give it 10 dwarves out of 13.
Not bad, not bad. I have to say, my worst fears were not realized. It really was Star Wars. It felt like Star Wars, not just a story in the Star Wars universe. This felt like it was actual Star Wars. So that's like, oh, thank goodness. Even if they didn't have all the crazy swipes here and there. It ended that way. I did notice that at the end, just before the credits come on, it did like the classic sort of crazy little side wipe.
Oh, yeah.
You don't see very often anymore. So it's like, oh, yay. The humor. I liked the humor more in this one than in the prequel trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good.
Because the thing is, like, the prequel trilogy, I hate to bring him up, but it's Jar Jar. He was comedic relief. He's only there for the silliness and all that. It's like, oh my god, like, you cut this out and you got a good serious movie going. This guy's only here for, like, the proverbial shits and giggles. Whereas the humor I noticed in The Force Awakens worked. It wasn't, it felt very natural. Like, oh, C-3PO, you are a protocol droid. Why don't you know when to just be quiet? Ha ha ha. That is so you. And so it's like, yes, that's very much in character. And then there were other times when the humor actually helped facilitate the plot along. And it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, it was funny, haha. But you know what? Now we know which way the plot's going. So I dug that. It felt much more natural than the prequels trilogy humor. So, hooray!
All right. Well, you just spoiled that C-3PO's in it.
I think that's basically a given. They're showing it in the commercials. Although, I don't know if this counts as a spoiler because they show him, like, in the other thing. He does have a red arm. And they never did explain Like, what's up with the red arm? And I'm hoping they'll explain that out, because it seems like...
In episode 8, find out. That's what everyone wants to know.
Well, because that's the thing. It almost seems like a red herring for an arm. So I think, like, it's like, okay, there's this question left unanswered. This question is here. This question is answered there. This is, left, undone and all this. And there's questions left. And then there's, like, almost like a joke in itself. But what about C-3PO's original arm? Why is it a red one now? It's like, is that actually going to be like a plot point, or is that just going to be like, just left in? It's like, oh yeah, it's been 33 years. He's had some replacement parts done. Come on.
Yeah, I think I'm not a fan of that sort of method of storytelling. It's like, yeah, I don't think I like it. I'm gonna say that's a point against the movie. It was a good movie, but. Yeah, just throwing in a little thing like, because if he just had a red arm, it'd be like, oh, okay, there's a robot that has a red arm for some reason. But they did have a specific line of dialogue that C-3PO says, like, never mind my red arm.
You probably don't recognize me without my red arm.
Or, yeah, because I have a red arm now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess maybe from the concept of, like, how the droids, are in the universe, maybe it's like, oh, I don't recognize you because you are just a protocol droid, but you are the red arm. I'm used to the protocol droid that's all in crazy gold. So it's like maybe that was actually a legitimate point from inside the universe concept.
Because the thing is, like, how many aliens and robots and people are there in that whole movie with something out of place, like, maybe a red arm or like a gimpy arm or a tooth missing or whatever, like, or Maz the old alien. They don't point out every single. Well, I guess that's the C-3PO has that sort of fastidiousness.
He will point that out, and that's the thing. It's like that was a humorous sort of line. You probably don't recognize me with my red arm, and it's like, yeah, that's funny because that's completely something the character of C-3PO would wind up making sure to make a point of mentioning.
Well, I guess it does serve a little bit of that purpose. If it serves more purpose, then that will annoy me though, because, yeah.
Well, I don't know. Like, is that something that's going to happen? Like they're like adventuring somewhere in episode 8, and they just come across a left arm of a robot that's in gold. Like, hey, I know who this belongs to. Toss it in the backpack. Let's keep going.
And that's all that happens.
And then they just return it to him. And then the final scene in episode 8 is just him back testing out his old arm again. Oh yes, got it back. Mm-hmm. What if it's just something like that? It just winds up turning out to be some sort of weird, crazy brick joke. Like he lost his arm, and then they find it, just laying around somewhere in episode 8. They pick it up and they take it with them.
Well, I don't know.
Because the brick joke is pretty darn funny, sort of thing. It's like that's all that's ever explained. It's somewhere crazy dangerous. It's like, how did the arm even get there? And it's never explained. It's just like, oh yeah, we found C-3PO's missing arm there.
I guess that's what makes Star Wars so weird and different from other movies, is that you expect that economy of storytelling. Which you don't really expect that from almost any other movie, of like being very specific, like put a red arm in for a reason. Whereas, especially comedies, you can just say, oh, well, we just had it for a gag that he had a red arm, and later they found it. Oh, haha.
Well, that's the thing. It's like episode 8. Are they going to wind up being in like some sort of like hut cartel place, and just above the doorway, like a deer, sort of thing mounted up on there, it's a C-3PO's arm. It's like that could happen. So, then crap goes down. They got to make a hasty exit. They take the arm as they leave.
But also, I mean,
I don't know. That's actually a viable potential something that happens. Or maybe that's all it is. It's just to show that so much time has gone on. Even the robots have needed some replacement parts.
Yeah, and I guess maybe that's another reason why they have him have a red arm, because at the end of Return of the Jedi, you think that everything is going to be fine. And that, well, see-through, but he's fully intact, and he gets all polished up and everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone's polished and looking
big
good,
ceremony.
Yeah.
And then episode 7...
Gotta wax your droids for the ceremonies, dude.
It's like the world is falling apart again. I guess.
Oh, yes. If there's one weird thing I noticed, is I don't think anyone's cleaned anything since the fall of the Empire. 33 years ago, in the movie. Because, oh my goodness, everything seems so dirty. Except, oddly enough, where the evil people were. That's all shiny and clean and new.
Some of it, yeah.
More or less. I mean, it's cleaner than the rest of that place.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I remember seeing the, where, not the rebel, because it's no longer the rebels, it's the resistance.
At this point, I think I'll go back and edit this because I'm going to have to put a spoiler tag in for a lot of this.
I don't know. It's just like a background thing. It's the one thing I noticed as I was going there. It's like, is that roots coming out along the ceiling there? And then they're in the one, cantina. It's like, I don't even know if there's a clean surface at the bar. Everything just seems like so old and dirty and all this. It just seems like, my goodness. Like the only clean place is where the bad guys are. That's why you join the evil empire. So you finally get clean quarters to live in. Yeah. Only the dark side has soap.
It was weird too because the Empire, they seem to have the same, at least one of the Star Destroyers. Maybe it was just that one, but they have the same layout, the same sort of deck and the same sort of uniforms and everything. Even though it's been I don't know how many years.
30-something years.
Can you imagine an army on Earth having the same uniform for 30 years and all the same?
They're in an apostatic sort of universe.
I guess, we've made that point before. Unless you're building the next
big thing to destroy everything, it's not really much change. And some things you want to keep the same for legacy purposes. If you want to offend people, dress up like a Nazi. If you want to intimidate people in the Star Wars universe, dress up like a bunch of stormtroopers. Their image, their very presence, carries a hefty weight behind it. So if you're going to get a bunch of people and you want to say we mean business, dress up like the people that oppressed the entire galaxy.
Nowadays
and let's face it, they were the bad guys in this one were effectively the equivalent of neo-Nazis.
Sure, yeah, we can make that analogy, but I think nowadays if you dress up if a bunch of people decide to dress up like a squad of Nazis in Nazi uniforms and sort of march down the street, you don't get fear, you get sort
contempt.
You get people sort of yelling at them saying, hey, what the fuck are you doing?
But how many people are going to come out directly and confront them?
A few,
but not very many people.
Actually, if they're
the cops will,
if they're if they have guns and stuff, I guess not every people aren't going to come up. But I'd imagine, if you walk down an American street somewhere, probably people would, especially Americans because they have their own guns.
Yeah.
They come out there and they're
carry, buddy.
What is this, World War II again? We're fighting you.
But so that's the thing, though. It's just the appearance and the numbers. It does carry a weight behind it, and that's why you will get the reaction. In America, it's not a good reaction because, dude, they came in the last 11 months of World War II and they kicked and took us. They really managed to bruise the Nazis badly, and take back Europe.
Yeah.
That's not so America. Yeah, you do that in France. See what goes on there.
Yeah. Well, the French aren't as heavily armed as the Americans are, but I think you still.
It depends on which part of France, like the Vichy France or the other half. Because there was we control it versus the Nazis control it, half of France sort of thing when it was all taken over.
I think at some point the Nazis had control of all of France.
They did, but there was we had French governors, working on the things versus no, only the Nazi people can have any command post here. So there was the two halves of France sort of thing as to
okay.
who was going along with the Nazis to try and create so it's not so bad versus we can't trust any one of you, only a German person can have any official power positions here.
All right.
So then some things were pretty darn bad.
Okay. Well, I guess that's kind of like what World War II in a way was. They had new uniforms and stuff, but they did have this sort of culture of hearkening back to a glorious German age, right?
Yes.
So
in which case, the bad guys in Episode 7 were trying to evoke similar things.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, on a meta standpoint, the Stormtrooper outfit is very iconic. You're going to want to have that in there.
Yeah, well, you need that for Star Wars, so I guess that's sort of a gimme, and you can fudge with history a little bit to say, they just kept the same uniform.
You got to outfit the people, and you still got all these outfits.
And it wasn't exactly identical either.
No.
It was
a little bit more streamlined, smooth.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. But I liked it. It was very much Star Wars.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
I recommend everybody see it at least once, especially before we have to start, giving out more spoilers. But to be honest, I mean, dude, after a certain point, like I think this the reasonable amount of time before spoilers should be given is going to be cut down quite a lot with this movie compared to others.
I think so. Yeah, I think that technically that time has probably already passed. But I suppose we should give people...
give it to the new year sort of thing. I mean, it was definitely released on purpose to be the big Christmas seller. Mm-hmm. And it's busting records everywhere. It's busting records by a vast margin. Mm-hmm. But it is a hectic time of year for a lot of people. They can't always get to see whatever they want. Like it was like the middle of, like, say, April. So, try and give them a little bit more. But yeah... I still find it weird, as to why only the dark side has soap. Because everything else seems dirty and grungy. And I am happy with the questions left unanswered. So because there's questions, are they going to answer this, the next one, that one, that one? It's really going to make me want to watch episode 8.
Oh, yeah.
Because they answer, because they did a nice mix of we answer some things and leave some things hanging for you. So that way you feel satiated. It's like, I didn't answer anything. It was like 2 hours of raising questions. It's like, no, it answered some stuff, but it still left me hungry.
Well, except I feel like I've been taken on this ride before by J.J. Abrams.
But it's not just him. J.J. Abrams, for his TV series, had much more control. Yeah. Whereas, dude, Disney spent a lot of money buying this intellectual property. There's no way they're letting just one guy run the ride. Yeah. There's going to be several areas, behind making sure everything plays out fairly smoothly.
Well, I'm still not getting my hopes up for episode 8. I mean, I did like episode 7 on the whole. There were some things I didn't like, including I don't like that it's not tied up neatly in a bow. I don't like that it's only act 1 of a story. I would have preferred it to sort of contain itself and answer more questions. But that said, it was still fun.
My appetite's already hungry for episode 8, so I mean, I can consider that from a marketing standpoint very much a win. That's successful on their part there.
Yeah, and I'm holding the same trepidation for episode 8 that I had for episode 7.
I'm holding less trepidation.
Okay.
Because now that I see their technical stuff was working, they got this right, they got that right, they were doing the stuff, it's like, okay. They've got, if nothing else, you can say the fundamentals are solid, absolutely solid. And then you can build on that. That's their stable ground. They're like episode 7 was their concrete foundation. Now I want to see them build an amazing house. Well, that said, I don't think I've ever been that excited over a concrete foundation in real life.
In Minecraft, maybe.
No, even then.
Not even.
It's like, when Minecraft, you get a big thing start up, it's like, oh, okay, that's just the first leg done. Now on to the next part. This was like, okay, yes, you got it done, and you're rocking out. And I like the new characters. Which is very good, because I gotta say, I would have still enjoyed the movie if I hadn't liked the new characters. It's just like, it would have been like whenever it's like one of their scenes, it's like, yeah, hurry up. I want to see Chewie again. Let's go. Mm-hmm. I still would have enjoyed it, but yeah, I'm so much happier that I liked the characters. I liked them. They weren't perfect. They had their flaws, and they had their strengths, and everything meshed wonderfully. In the end, I mean, there was the bits, is he this or is he not? Is she this or is she not? And all that. So it's like, it's nice to see how their personalities played off each other nicely. So hooray!
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'm going to give it 12 out of 13 dwarves.
Okay. Sweet.
A little bit more generous, but it might just be a fanboy in me.
Yeah.
I think the only point it loses on was the main villain, Kylo Ren. Didn't seem big and villainous enough for me. But I conceal myself, behind the message that this will give the chance for the villain to have growth as much as the heroes. And let's face it, Star Wars villains tend to get a lot more good press publicity and screen time than villains in other series do. The villains in the Star Wars universe are less, I'll say, antagonistic and more sympathetic.
Well, that's what they said about, the original trilogy, 3, 4, 5, and 6, is that it is really Darth Vader's story.
Yes.
So perhaps perhaps it will be, in a similar vein, this will be Kylo Ren's story.
And admittedly, if there's one thing I'd have to say was a downside on the original trilogy, is that Darth Vader starts at that high rung, and he stays at that high rung the entire way. There really isn't much character progression up until near the end of the third episode 6.
Yeah, that's true.
And so there's he starts on top and stays on top, but this one maybe Kylo Ren gets a chance to grow, become even more villainous. So you can say episode 9, it's like, I can't believe he did that. I remember when he was just a little, youngling spaz in episode 7, he would never have done this in episode 7. He's really grown in villainy. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, in episode 7 he does participate in the destruction, more spoilers, destruction of multiple worlds, and kills his own father.
That's the big spoiler there. You might want to edit that one out.
I'm just saying, I don't know, well, he can get more powerful. I don't know how much further, what else he can do to heighten his evilness, is what I'm saying.
Maybe not have spaz attacks whenever things go wrong?
Yeah, but no, that's what that is supposed... He does that because that's part of the dark side. That's what the dark side is all about. It's like...
I didn't see Darth Vader having spaz attacks.
No, but this is the philosophy of the dark side, is that what you do is you allow... When you have an urge like that, you're supposed to give into it. You're supposed to let your feelings out. Mm-hmm. If you get mad, you're supposed to somehow take action.
When Darth Vader, in episode 3... realizes that Padme, realizes in air quotes, because I don't know if she's actually dead at that point, realizes that the love of his life, Padme, is dead. The children have been lost. He screams out no, and the Force powers within him crush the robots and destroy all the stuff around him.
Yeah.
That's a powerful scene of emotion.
Yeah.
That is the epitome of loss, and I feel it. Every time I see that scene, it gets me.
Yes.
Especially with James Earl Jones screaming out no, because it was his voice there. It's like, the emotion in that one there.
Well, that's interesting though, because Darth Vader, or Anakin at that time,
he's Vader there.
Or becoming Vader. That's almost an unconscious change in him. He's not trying to let the dark side out. It seems to just let...
It flows without his control.
And up till that point, he sort of had some idea of people have said to him, hey, maybe the dark side's not so bad, maybe you should give into it a little bit. But he isn't explicitly thinking to himself, okay, I'm going to turn to the dark side. But where I think what's different with Kylo Ren is that he definitely wants to be, he is into the dark side. He's like, no, this is my philosophy. I believe in anger, so if I feel anger, I'm going to express it.
He's trying to be as good as Vader, though. I mean, that's really his idol. He's like a Vader fanboy. And it gets me. It's like, dude, Vader would not spaz out like that. If you actually want to emulate him, have a little bit more self-control. Force choke somebody. That's what Vader does when he's a little peeved.
Well, he does force choke a guy at one point.
He does, but I mean, like when he's really letting his emotion out, he's really letting his emotion out. So it's like, dude, even Darth Maul would not be happy with your display. Do something better, with your anger rather than just, freak out.
I don't know. Did Darth Maul? Yeah, he just seemed to be sort of badass. He didn't really have a
his anger
philosophy.
Was fuel, man. When he was angry, he used it as a. I was like getting 2 wild horses on a chariot, man. That's what he did with his anger.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, in the scene where they're running through the air ducts that shift horizontal, vertical. Back and forth, and Qui-Gon, was it Qui-Gon?
I believe so.
The air ducts shut between them, so there's a force field, so they can't get past each other. So Qui-Gon just turns off his lightsaber and meditates, which is okay.
Which I think is very, pro-Jedi of him. That's what the Jedi should be.
I think it's a bit of a caricature of a Jedi, but okay.
Well, that's the thing is, for the Jedi, officially, the lightsaber is supposed to represent the Force, and they're not supposed to use it offensively. It's supposed to work as a defensive to show that the Force protects them.
Yeah.
But that very much falls by the wayside for many, many Jedi. So Qui-Gon to actually just stop it, okay, there's no threat to me. I'll turn off the lightsaber and meditate now. That was maybe the most Jedi thing I think I've seen a Jedi do in the films.
Yeah,
so
it's a good moment.
That struck me as like, no wonder this guy learns how to Force Ghost. This guy's got his emotions. He's got them all on the level, man. He's got these ducks sorted out in a row.
And sort of at the same moment, like as a matter of contrast, they have Darth Maul on the other side of that little force field, and he's just smashing his lightsaber at basically anything. I mean, I don't know if it's not like as extreme as Kylo Ren with his just sort of hacking and like sweating and
in his defense,
breaking
he does
things.
not seem very well trained in
right.
using the lightsaber.
But Darth Maul just kind of like sort of half-heartedly like smashes some things with his lightsabers, like kish kish kish, like.
Well, you gotta let some emotion out, sort of thing. You bottle up too much, you go really crazy.
Yeah, it's like a hockey player just impatiently smacking his stick on the ground.
Actually, that's exactly what I thought of when I saw him doing that. It's like, dude, this guy's got to play some hockey. But they don't have double-edged, like hockey sticks, so I don't know if it's really a sport.
Double-edged hockey sticks. Now there's a Star Wars sport for you.
Okay, well, we might have to Google that one and see if anyone's beaten us to that punch, but okay. But I am hoping that in episodes 8 and 9, we get to see him grow into his anger a little bit more, and thus is able to use it more productively. Because like when Darth Vader gets angry, and that's his mentor, like everything just kind of crumples around him, like crushing a beer can.
I suppose, what we might end up seeing in 8 and 9. We might end up seeing him have a real temper tantrum where he sort of really does some major damage to everything around him, or rather than just smash up a console. Oh, okay, I broke this console. We'll have to ship in a new one and whatever.
Yeah. Whereas, like, I would actually dig a villain who, like, you want to make sure he's as happy as possible when you're a minion. Otherwise, when he has, like, a fit of anger, everybody around him suffers.
Yeah. Although, did you notice in the ones, more spoilers, the stormtroopers are coming around the corner and
he's
they see him.
His angry fit, and they just kind of do a 180 and keep on going.
Yeah.
Which I think that was supposed to be a joke for that bit. Oh, they see he's having a bit of a tantrum, so they just kind of book it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I found that to be a very telling thing to indicate that this is by far not the first time Kylo Ren has had such an outburst. It's such an incident that they don't think anything of like, oh my gosh, we should go see if like he needs our help too. He's having another fit. Let's just go on somewhere else and not be in his way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found it, initially it's ha ha ha, but then it's like, no, wait, actually, this tells a lot about the character. So, like, this is just how he is. This is by far, like his modus to spaz out and destroy everything around him because he's angry. So, hopefully, I hope he grows into something bigger and badder than that.
Hmm.
And if it winds up being that, he just gets so angry, everybody around him starts getting force choked. I'll dig that. Yeah, why not? Let's go with that. That's it. I really liked his use of the force power of like freezing things. Because he does the one bit where and then all of a sudden the person can't move, or someone tries to shoot at him. This is like in the first scene. The thing if someone tries to shoot at him with a blaster, and he like freezes the blaster in the air.
Yeah.
And, because, like, that's, I got my Star Wars D20 stuff. Nothing like that's mentioned in there. That's a new force power. That is a very personal force power for him. And that's a nice way of customizing him as a villain, distinct from the other, Sith characters out in the universe.
I think mechanically it's not too different from when Vader catches blaster bolts with his hand.
Yeah.
In episode 5.
Yeah. When hand shoots first.
Yeah.
Huh. Don't edit that part out. He always shoots first in that scene. But yeah, he's able to catch and block it with his very mitted hand on that one for Vader. Yeah. But actually pausing it, and with this, like the computer, graphics allowing us to see what it looks like to have a force bolt in paralyzed motion. That was pretty boss.
Yeah, that was really cool film effect, yeah.
Although, Now here is a complete, potentially out of the blue sort of thing. Might be a spoiler, I don't know. Something on episode 9 sort of thing. The big weapon sort of thing fires, and Kylo Ren has a moment of decency and manages to stop the big weapon, like the big blaster, like the next, Death Star, pauses that beam in mid-fire.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's foreshadowing, but that would be pretty boss to see as in episode 9, denouement.
Mm-hmm.
So, But I'm sorry if I spoiled episode 9 for people on that one. Oh my gosh, am I sorry. I did not mean to. I totally did not have any insider information. That's just an out of the blue theory.
It just occurred to me that episode 8 and 9 are like, Star Wars was always a little bit like you're fighting sort of on the edge of the galaxy for the sake of some sort of galactic core. And in the remade version of episode 6, you see, Coruscant's like this big city planet where they can, we're safe because the Emperor's dead. And things are going to get better now. But in episode 7, they actually take out like major centers of the.
Yeah.
Like, do they blow up Coruscant?
I do not know for certain, but it very much did look like the ecumenical facilities of Coruscant.
Yeah.
It did seem to be like an entire planet that was habited by like buildings and humanoids and all that. So
in that case, it seems like episode 8 and 9 will really be sort of post-apocalyptic Star Wars.
I hadn't considered that. That's a very good way of considering things. Because like this place got destroyed, place got destroyed, so like all like major holdings are kind of out there. So it is going to wind up being a real nasty little fight.
Yeah, so there's not much left of galactic civilization. I mean, unless I guess you think there's thousands of worlds.
In such situations, historically, in the expanded universe, Hutt space thrives when that stuff goes down.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe a chance of seeing a Hutt in episode 8.
Okay, yeah.
Woo! I'm pro-Hutt, what can I say?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have more than enough information on that one.
Yeah.
But long story short, I dig it. Everyone should watch it at least once, as soon as it's in the language of your choice.
Okay. Yeah. Sweet.
Other than that, I did see another movie this week, Justice League: The New Frontier. I bought this for about $5 used from one of the friendly local secondhand stores when my brother Jason was in town. And it's a bit of a retelling, kind of, of like the Golden Age sort of thing, like the McCarthy era sort of stuff, that they mentioned and stuff that happens, kind of like in Watchmen, but with the standard DCU characters. And I was a little wary because, one, it's a bit of a stylized animation, and two, it's like one of those rehashings of character origins. As they try and make everything cohesive. And that doesn't always go well for everybody. But this one did have a very good end of the Golden Age feel to it, and like rise of the Silver Age. And I really did enjoy that one too.
Okay.
If you want, Josh, I can loan it to you, and you can wind up watching it. Maybe you can give your opinion next week.
Sure, yeah.
There are some interesting things as to, like, in there, like, the Golden Age Batman, and the longer, crazier ear style, and it wasn't quite as iconic as the more modern-day Batman. And they actually explain that one off in there, in that he winds up scaring a kid in his old costume, and so he winds up changing it and, getting a sidekick, Robin. And when questioned on that why, it's like, well, my costume was supposed to scare criminals, not children. And so it's like, yes, I can actually buy the difference in, like, one of the reasons why he changes his outfit from time to time, and why all of a sudden he decides to have a Boy Wonder sidekick. It's like, no, he's got to change his look, be a little bit more, friendly to the people he's not trying to scare. Because Batman is big on fear, right?
Yeah.
But for him, it's a tool to use. It's not like, I'm going to scare everyone all the time, I'm Batman, blah. For him, like, the purpose for dressing up like a bat is to strike the fear in the hearts of the cowardly criminals. And so it's very nice to see somebody else be reminded of that. Like, yes, for Batman, fear is something like a tool he would carry in his bat belt, same as anything else. And that was one of the, I don't think that really relates much to the plot at all, but I found that characterization to be so on the ball, it immediately raised my opinion of the movie by just one notch. It's like, there we go. It's like, you get the characters in ways that I do, and yet nobody else seems to sometimes. So hooray! And it is part of the DCU's, animated, conversion process, where they take a real good selling series of comics, and then they put it out into not the big screen, but the small screen style. Which, I'll say this, Marvel is dominating the big screen stuff, but DC still has the small screen locked in. With the Flash, the TV series, the Arrow, Supergirl now, and the directed video movies and cartoons they're doing, they've still got it. So They're not out yet, and this is a very good point of evidence for it. So woo. Watch that too, but watch episode 7 if you ever get the chance to decide between the two.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So yes, I think you had for this week just a little bit of what you've been doing, or aside from Christmas.
Yeah.
Watching Star Wars.
What I've been up to. I played a bit of Minecraft, a little bit. I discovered the biome. I guess it's back a little ways, back in Minecraft 1.7, where they added the mega taiga with the big spruce trees. Yeah, big spruce trees, giant spruce trees. And I was exploring some.
So, do the mega taiga trees only grow in that biome, or can you grow them anywhere?
Oh, you know what? I haven't attempted to grow them elsewhere, but
I'm still a few tree types behind myself. Like the dark oak apparently only grows in the 2x2. Yeah,
that's true. You can grow.
Which is nuts for me because I've only got one seedling of it, so it's like, oh.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I have all of the seedlings, in a major tree farm, but the spruce trees grow like they grow normal 1 block wide trees, but I actually haven't attempted to do 4 block trees. I suspect they will though. But
most trees will technically grow in the 2x2 formation. It's just that they will counter out each other, and you might not necessarily get the same amount of wood as planting 4 individual 1-foot trees.
I think so, yeah, it works something like that. Yeah.
On the other hand, depending on what mods you have for making cutting down trees easier, it would wind up being a lot faster for you to trim.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And it has a new exciting block. Well, I don't know if this counts as new and exciting because I was thinking
it's new to you.
It's
right?
new to me. It's called Podzol.
Yes.
And it's basically a retextured dirt block that looks a bit like fallen leaves, a bit like dirt with
the
like
proper
needles
term
on
is
it.
duff, the needles and all that accumulates on the forest floor of that sort of forest is actually called duff.
Okay, well, although that's what it looks like, but I looked up Podzol a little while ago, and Podzol just means sort of nutrient poor, tightly packed soil, basically, is what Podzol is.
Well, that's the thing. The needles are highly acidic, so they wind up leaching away many nutrients. So you do wind up with a bit of a different forest floor.
All right.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter too much for differences, but, like any difference aesthetically is going to make somebody, this is where I'm going to want to do this. I'm going to do it right here.
Yeah,
I'm
suppose.
okay with that.
Did
you see the big rocks, the boulders they have in there?
Yeah, they have mossy stone naturally occurring in there.
So how big did you find them? Some of them are apparently big enough you can actually use as a start for like a house.
Well, yeah, sure. There was enough. You can
hollow them
like
out,
3x3, I guess. So you can sort of get your Steve can go inside one.
Forest Night 1 house.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, now that you mention it though, I should try and build like some sort of like a cabin out there and see how that looks.
I think it would look very nice.
Yeah, with sort of deciduous looking. Well, because it is technically coniferous forest.
Yeah.
But the floor looks like that sort of leafy, orangey fall colored floor, and there is some heights to it too. So sometimes you can get snow in the taller parts. So
in that case, I recommend something just underneath the snow line.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll have to experiment a little more because I found that the way I found it was I had explored most of my world, and most of
the local area.
Yeah,
of the world, and the
like
world's
a big,
infinite, right?
Yeah, fairly large radius of mostly covered, like filled in and looked where everything was.
You really should post up your map one of these days of the world you've explored.
Well, I can post up like a picture of the map. The actual world download wouldn't, like, I think it's several gigabytes or something now.
You might have to. Oh wait, you can't put that up on Mega Upload because Kim.com's getting extradited.
Yeah.
So who knows what that's going to happen to that website? But find a file sharing site.
Maybe there's a way to do that. Yeah. But I was saying, and I had been looking for this particular biome for a long time, like going really far in all different north, south, east, west, all directions, trying to find, like, because I have to get to new terrain because it's an older world, so it doesn't have
to
any
loot
of
a
that.
completely new chunk.
So yeah, but what I did happen to find was there was this mountain range that I had, because mountain ranges are hard to explore in Minecraft. They're like explore in map because you have to go up and or down around. So I'd basically done the perimeter of it. I've been done around it and generated the chunks around that. But
and
the
you don't
inside,
have any mods that allow you to fly or climb up
right.
those straight walls.
Yeah. So the inside I had not touched, not explored, so the game had not generated that terrain yet. So then when I have a new version now, I go to the interior of that mountain range and, oh look, surprise, surprise, it's a mega taiga. So a new kind of trees. So that's my Minecraft experience this week. I found a new kind of tree.
And it was in your backyard all along.
Yeah. Well, it's still relatively far. And so I had to do some nether digging to dig a new rail line to it so that anytime I want to go there, I can get back there again fairly easily. Yeah.
Very nice.
It's only a few hundred blocks away from my my Blaze arena.
Oh,
which
nice.
seems to be my sort of center of headquarters because that's an area where I can get a lot of XP and enchant items
do some good
easily.
farming.
So that seems to be where I spend a lot of time.
That's pretty groovy because I started up a nice new bit of farming myself in Minecraft for something similar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What happened was that I was looking at ways to try and get to the outer lands for the Thaumcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And it wound up being that it's like, oh, I'm going to need a lot of the alienist aspect to get this. How am I going to get that? Because my source to that prior was ender pearls. But without endermen spawning in my world, ender pearls are a bit of a rare commodity.
Mm-hmm.
So what I wound up doing was it's like, oh, wait a minute. The Crimson Cultists, if I can find a spot with them, they will generate, constantly generate their warriors. And so I used my Soul Shard mod to attack enough warriors just far enough away to leave the cultists alone as much as possible, and get an active shard for that. Now every night I go out into the desert and I attack the cultists. And I think, depending whether or not I want to stay up late tonight, I might be able to get enough of the aspect to get all the eyes I need to open up the portal to the Outlands.
Oh wow, very good.
So hooray! Or I could just play around with the quarry a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've expanded it out. It dug to the bottom in the one little 9x9 I tested out, and now I expanded out to a 64x64 just to see how long it takes. And I think I'm done like 2 layers on the thing. It's got like 115 vertical layers to go, and I'm done 2. It's like, oh my god, this is going to take me forever. But I don't actually have to do anything for it to take forever. I just, have to wait it out and do other stuff.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Share one other thing I did.
Oh yeah,
this
go
week.
for it.
Yeah. I actually went to Butchart Gardens here in Victoria.
Oh yes, it's a beautiful time of year to go to the Butchart Gardens.
Yeah, because it is all lit up with Christmas lights and Christmas displays and things like that.
Maybe not as beautiful as the warm summer with all the flowers in bloom.
Yeah, well,
but it's not that cold of winter right now.
I like that because it feels a little bit World of Warcraft like. You know how World of Warcraft has the world like changes. Well, not really, but sort of like over Christmas, it's like, oh, they put up Christmas decorations.
Yeah,
the seasons. And so the Butchart Gardens becomes a very different place in the winter because it's still that idea of, lots of color, explosion of color, but this time now it's sort of a nighttime scene. Oh. And like in the daytime, I'm not sure what it's like. It's probably not that great because, a lot of flowers aren't in bloom in the winter and stuff, although some, I don't know if some are, but... Yeah, but so it's more of shifted to this is the nighttime wonderland or whatever now.
Which is quite nice on its own.
Yeah, so I like the fact that it's worth going to this place. Yeah, two times a year, having a very different experience.
Keeps it fresh.
Yeah, they had like little display, and so it is. The reason I bring it up on the Simulationist podcast is because it is a little bit like it's a narrative experience. Like you walk through the. It's designed as a walk that you get from one end to the other, so it's a little bit like a story. And they added like the 12 Days of Christmas, like a little scene of each one. Like they have a partridge in a pear tree, 2 turtle doves, 3 French hens, etc. And then, the whole song. But they have a little scene of each one. Sometimes they're a little bit of gags or jokes, and sometimes they're more just here's 8 maids a milking, just 8 maids and a cow.
Well, there would be 8 cows if there are 8 maids of milk, and otherwise it's like poor overworked cow.
Maybe they're working on that. Maybe they'll add more cows as the years go by.
Well, I should hope so. Otherwise, it's like 1/8 of a teat from the cow's udder per milkmaid.
How many blondes does it take to milk a cow?
Apparently 8, if they're all milkmaids in that one. Huh. I think that's one of the better ones, though, because I was like, not only do you get 8 maids of milking, but you get the 8 cows along with them. That ain't nothing to ignore.
Yeah, that's true. Or I suppose it's like buying somebody a booster pack. If they don't already have the 8 cows, like what am I supposed to do with 8 maids who can milk, but I don't have anything for them to milk?
What am I supposed to do with all these magic cards? I have no mana for them.
Yeah, I have no lands, or I have no. You bought me the expansion set for Settlers of Catan, but I don't have
the Settlers of Catan.
Or you bought me an iPhone case, but I have no iPhone.
I'm not going to do everything for you. Some things you have to do for yourself. And thus the 8 maids began their trial by combat to see who would keep the cow and which other 7 must venture out into the wilderness to find their own.
Yeah.
Thus began the tale of the 8 maids of milking.
And like drummers, if you get 12 drummers drumming, it's
you
great.
You the drums.
Yeah, well, you get
just one drum amongst the entire drummers.
They might have. That'd be kind of neat if they had like a giant drum in the center, like a center drum, and they all have like.
What if it's just like from like Rush's stuff? Because I mean, like, what's his face there? Dude's got a huge drum set. You could have that many drummers drumming on each bit there properly.
Yeah, but I was thinking like the reason I wouldn't want drummers drumming as a present from my true love would be, it's all well and good on day one because, hey, it's awesome, we have some rock stars hanging out in our house. But then, okay, now I have to feed them? Or
I hope you guys like partridge eggs and milk. That's all I got for you.
Well, I guess you can cook up the geese a-laying and the swans a-swimming. There's a lot of birds in there, so you could eat for a while.
Well, that's the thing is like once you get tired of the drummers, you just force the geese towards them, and then the geese wind up chasing off the drummers. Geese are dangerous, man. And most drummers worth their salt are not going to try tangling with a geese. They'll break your arm. And then if you're a drummer with a broken arm, do you know what you are? Unemployed. Because you're not a drummer anymore.
Yeah, you can drum with your head, like Animal in the Muppets.
Only Animal gets away with drumming with his head. On the other hand, if it was 8 animal drummers drumming, I ain't going to pass that up, because then you just got to wait for the 8 copies of everyone else from Dr. Teeth and stuff there. Then bam, you've got 8 Dr. Teeth and the Electric Orchestra going on, and how can you complain about that?
I would enjoy that. Did the Muppets ever? I bet they have at some point done the Christmas, the 12 Days of Christmas.
Probably
with Animal as the drummer drumming.
Probably at some point, yes.
What was I going to say? But no, that's not very grateful of you to just that you've been given 12 drummers and your solution is okay. Well, I'll chase them away with the geese. Like you don't,
I got attack geese, man. Come on.
This is a gift from your true love.
And trust me, very few people know as much about getting many more gifts than they are comfortable with than me. My wife loves to give presents. Yeah. Absolutely loves.
Did she ever give you 12 drummers?
She
and
never
11
gave me
pipers?
12 drummers drumming, but I believe it was for my first birthday when I was with her. She gave me one birthday present for every year I'd been alive.
Oh, okay.
which worked itself up to slightly less than 30 presents. I was a little uncomfortable with all that. That was a lot of presents, man.
Although I just thought of something. If you got Lords a Leaping, presumably the Lords now belong to you. They're your slaves, right? Or let's say it's a feudal society.
Lord.
And they're your vassals, and you're their suzerain, or you're their king or whatever, so they have to fealty to you. So if you want to, feed the drummers and pipers and get some more cows, the lords probably own some cows, and the lords belong to you, so therefore anything that they own, well, maybe not, according to the laws of feudalism, it's not directly that you own everything they own, but they do owe you, what's the manumission? They owe you...
The secular equivalent of a tithe, a portion of all that they have.
They owe you military service, which they can
they
can give to you in kind, and often it was just switched over to just money and taxes. So that's where taxes, I think. I don't know. That sounds wrong.
I think that's the thing is, some of them did have the option of paying for that. A lot of people just found it easier just to give up some mercenaries.
Yeah, well, that's the wonderful thing about specialization and why we ended up getting, more of a capitalistic society is because some lords would have a dukedom or a duchy that was very good at, we make the best corn, or we make the best beer, or we have really good soldiers, or we have good wine, and then, all the different regions kind of put themselves together and here you go, have a tenth of our honey that our bee crop made, and yeah.
And honey is tasty. It's very good stuff. Effectively, a good crash crop doesn't help out in the field of battle, though.
No.
And I suppose if you got the beehives with it, so you stack the beehives up so that people aren't going certain paths, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy my blood, honey. Ha ha ha. Bee masters, send out your swarms.
I'd imagine honey is not useful as a weapon, but I mean it could be another thing of morale for your troops, or it does have calories in it. So
that's the thing though. If I'm like a soldier on a battlefield, I would much prefer a lot more other soldiers on my side than some sweet food.
Yeah, well, I mean,
say it, but when it comes to the battlefield, a lot of people get very practical very fast.
Well, you don't want to be starving either. So
No.
I mean, not that honey by itself is going to stop starvation, but honey is
it's good.
Part of that whole part of a complete breakfast. Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay, now we wait for the sweet endorsement checks to come rolling in. No, I do see your point, but once you've got your basics covered, spend more money on more soldiers. Get a lot of people on the side. If you get enough soldiers on your side, then no one wants to fight you most of the time, and then you can win without needing to get killed.
Okay, yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah, so that's my solution to the problem of being given all these 12 days of Christmas gifts, is put those lords to work.
Fair enough.
And but then, that's the weird thing, none of these other lords owns things like turtle doves and French hens. You'd think one of them would, so that'd be kind of a redundant gift.
To be fair, these are lords that are known for a leaping, so they might not be the most powerful lords around.
I guess so, yeah.
They got micronations, right? Do they have micro lords? It's yes, my lordship is 9.5 acres.
Well, that's technically to be a lord. Yeah, you don't need to have. You just need to own some land, and
not a vast countryside. But if these lords are best known for their leaping abilities,
and then
they might not be the best lords to have.
You also hear every once in a while the story of the lords who kind of lose everything, the penniless aristocracy.
Hey, what about John Lackland, the villain from Robin Hood? Lackland wasn't his actual surname. That was a horrible, everyone teased him because he was a lord without any land. He was John Lackland.
Well, I guess the other thing you can be is you can have a position of stature in a king's court because the king you might have an important job, or the king might say, okay, well, you're my treasurer, but you technically aren't a lord or a knight.
You're Henry's boy, so, you're his third kid, but I hate the other two. I'm giving you a good position here.
Yeah, and then he'll give you the title, but maybe he doesn't have any land at that time to give. Because that's the way they get land to give to you is by usually conquering other territories. Oh,
or
look,
taking it from somebody that cheesed them off.
it's like we conquered Ireland, so all of our English guys are going to get Irish land.
Boy, that ended well for everybody, didn't it?
In fact, I mean, Quebec and Ontario basically had that system, and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia had that system where, like, people would be granted land because they were, like, favored by the Crown of England. So, yeah.
That didn't end well for very many people either, now that I think about it. Boy, I'm going to be happy in the future when instead of, like it's like, oh boy, like you get a royal title and here's some land. It's like, you get a royal title and, here's a spaceship. So that's going to be pretty boss, man.
Yeah.
It's not a very fast spaceship, but it holds 10,000 people at max capacity.
Ooh.
Yeah, I enjoy that spaceship, man. I will work for a knighthood. I will work for a title if I can get myself a spaceship that holds, people. I don't need a lot of room. My house right here isn't that big, but it could be even cooler if it were in a spaceship. So yay, Rocket Robin Hood. And I believe you had a thing though in other bits there. You were going to do some rapid fire questions, A or B, for me.
Oh, are we going to quickly do the? Yeah. We're going to do the princess versus that one.
Yes.
Okay.
So Josh had this interesting idea of firing some notions past me and a bit of a rapid fire thing and see which my preference is.
Okay.
I guess a bit of a Rorschach test in this one then, eh?
Yeah, I came up with this one. Well, it was a cumulative thought because my sister and I were playing the Name a Disney Princess game, and we talked about princesses and fairies, and then we went to the Butchart Gardens where we saw some scenes of sort of fairy tale scenes and like thought about princesses versus fairies, and I was like, okay, so, and then I brought it up at stand-up comedy last night in my stand-up set. It was like, which is more awesome, princess or fairy? So this is the grudge match, or whatever. So my first question for you, Ryan, is, okay, just as, like, if I had just asked you straight out, which is more awesome, princesses or fairies?
I'm going to have to go fairies.
Okay.
Because Tinkerbell did more than most princesses in Disney movies did for a long time.
Okay. Because princesses kind of they get rescued and...
the more modern princesses actually managed to do things. But, historically they didn't have too much. Though I will admit they were very pretty. Doesn't really count for much in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
But, that's all they really were there for, was to be pretty and get rescued, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I guess if you're going on an adventure, you're, say, you or some heroic version of yourself, and you're allowed to pick a sidekick, but the only sidekicks available are a princess and a fairy. And by the way, just for the purposes of this argument, princesses, we're assuming, are not also sorceresses, or not. They might have some magical training, because this is a magical world, right? This is a D&D world, maybe.
Well, apparently, this is a world that has fairies in it.
So a princess might be like, a level 1 sorcerer, like just on the side.
Small scale like Joan of Arc sort of martial skills?
Yeah, and maybe, or they might train, some other, because the princess would get a suite of, the king would be like, okay, we gotta train you up in something. So they might pick, for example, magic and sorcery, or horse riding. Well, not generally, but
I think everyone in royalty learned horseback, right?
The tomboyish versions of the princesses might be the horseback riders.
Well, the tomboyish ones learn to ride regular style, whereas more feminine princesses learn to ride side saddle.
Okay, yeah, and the horse dance, dressage, and whatever.
Might not be a bad thing. Wait, would the princess come with the horse in this adventure scenario?
Okay, this is the other thing. Our princesses are generally pretty rich, and they're princesses because they're the daughter of probably a king, maybe a duke, but somebody who controls... The
higher end of royalty.
Yeah, we were talking about lordlings a little bit, a few seconds ago. These are
not, the daughters of people known for their leaping skills.
Right. I mean, leaping is optional, not necessarily leaping, but sure.
A lord can leap, but if that's your big claim, that's why you're being rented out. If nothing else, is for your leaping abilities, so much as your lordly skills. I don't know.
Right. So these princesses, in theory, might have knights at arms at their call. Multiple versions of them might have servants and stuff like that. So that is something to keep in mind. Yeah.
In that case, I think it would have to wind up being adventure and character dependent.
Okay.
Because if it's going to be a stealth mission, I don't want all those extra people.
Well, let's
In which case, a small fairy, like a small quiet fairy, can slip into a lot more places than a princess ever could.
Here's the scenario.
On the other hand, if it's like one of Link's fairies, hey, listen, that's going to be absolutely crud for stealth missions. Sort of thing. And if it's going for more, grand epic, like we got to change the world, save, like the universe or stuff, I might have to go with a princess and her retinue. And
your fairy. I mean, fairies aren't necessarily known for. They're friendly and loyal and good, but also they can be untrustworthy just because they lose focus and they forget that they're supposed to be helping you, or they get interested in something else.
So the fairy winds up coming back with her reconnaissance, and all the fairy's able to tell me is that put some whoopee cushions down on some chairs. That's it.
Yeah. And the other caveat about the fairies is that our fairies are not also royalty necessarily. Like
there's no fairy princesses.
Yeah, we're separating these categories. In some stories, obviously, they can be combined, but we're separating these for the purpose of this discussion.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
In which case, the adventure one has to be very adventure and character dependent.
Okay. So, you're going into.
It's just like all of what I said. Like if it's stealth, then I don't want a whole lot of people with me. Versus if I got to save the world, I do want more people on my side. But that said, it still all falls underneath the line of personality. Like if that fairy is just like a prankster jerk, I don't know if I want to hang with him or her. And if the princess is stuck up, then I don't want to hang with that either. So I guess it winds up depending largely on personality. If I can be okay with either personality, then which one has the best suited skill set.
I'll let you pick. As far I'll grant you that the princess we've managed to dig up.
Apparently, she's the one that's going to go on adventures.
Maybe
not actually.
She's willing to go on an adventure. Well, someone has convinced her that this is necessary as a part of her princess stuff. She didn't really want to, but she's like, okay, I'm going to do it. It's not really within my skill set, but
we need somebody of noble blood to undertake this quest. Otherwise, it's going to fail.
But she has a good head on her shoulders. She is one of these horseback riding princesses.
Probably educated to some degree.
Yeah, and
poetry is nothing
she didn't really do well in her magic classes though. She kind of failed.
Well, that's the thing. If I got to solve something in Latin, I'm probably going to take the princess.
She did okay in languages. B- in all of her ancient magical languages, Draconic.
Still beats me.
Yeah. And our fairy, in this case, is on the spectrum of fairies, is slightly more focused and able to, it's competent.
Well, yeah. Again, we'll put this in the D&D category where you got a stat block, you know how to use it.
Our fairy is also well versed in magic,
as all fey creatures tend to be.
Able to,
if not able to use it, then able to understand what the heck is going on.
Yeah, okay. and can use magic items if she comes across. We'll say she could be a he, I suppose.
Let's go it, just in case.
It for the fairy. Okay, and the adventure in question is a dark forest. You're searching for a holy grail. You don't know. It was guarded at one point by a hideous monster, but rumors are that the monster is dead. And there are giant spiders in the woods, but you don't know if they're going to be awake or not. Okay, there. Go now.
Well, that's interesting because if you're going to go with the holy grail, then it seems like princess would wind up being a very good thing because with the Grail quest with the Camelot and all that. On the other hand, forest, well, that's fairy. Spiders is a potential stroke against the fairy because on the one hand is like knowledge of that.
Might get caught in spider webs.
Might get caught in spider webs. Yeah. I'm still thinking the aerial reconnaissance wins out in the day, so I think I have to go with the fairy.
Yeah. Okay.
Although, I wouldn't begrudge the princess on that one because apparently, being truly noble in heart and spirit could help you out with the Grail quest.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Fair up. Next quest.
Okay. Okay. you are given you're given a choice of assuming the life of a fairy or a princess.
Oh, I don't want to be a princess.
You don't have to change gender.
So you're saying I get like land in like the human realms or some sort of like fairy sponsorship.
Yeah.
Do I get to take my family with me in either case?
Sure.
Totally going fairy.
Yeah? You don't want the riches of the princess?
The riches of the princess are good, but they are temporal power, whereas the fairies are immortal, and if you're in the fairy realms, you stay immortal as well.
Okay,
which might mean my daughter never officially grows up, but she's like forever a kid amongst the fairies. And that's a pretty idyllic life.
You're okay with that? I don't know if I'd choose that.
I won't lie. I will very much enjoy watching my daughter grow, as she ages. But an eternal youth with the fairies, that's a pretty good gift to get your kid.
Hmm.
And, apparently when you're young enough, the fairy stuff rubs off on you, so I could wind up having like a fairy-kin child.
And, yeah, that would be fantastic.
That'd be pretty boss.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing. I've had, those dreams where you wind up with sleep paralysis, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I eventually managed to wake up and get myself moving again. Oh, God, I'm moving. Oh, hooray. And then it occurs to me, it's like the thought is like, you know what they say about sleep paralysis? The conspiracy theorists would have you believe you were abducted by aliens. And I'm like, well, what if that means if I have like a half-alien hybrid child?
Mm-hmm.
So is it really that different from having like a child that absorbed up some of the Fey world, lifestyle and powers? It's okay.
I guess. Yeah, sure.
It doesn't matter what happens to them or how the circumstances are. I will love my daughter no matter what.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether she be, a bald-headed, half-gray alien, or she winds up growing a pair of fairy wings on her back.
That's a good point. All right.
Because I'm a good dad. I'll love her no matter what.
Yeah.
Especially the one that can read my mind. You can bet I'm going to be loving her.
Next question. If the fairy and the princess got into a fight, who would win?
So I'm going to trust that this princess is, at least somewhat trained in, some sort of physical capabilities.
Yeah, but like C- is in Oliver, like in gym. C- in gym.
Oh, geez, even I got a B in gym. She might not be that good then. Because I was thinking, like, if you're gonna like settle this down here, default the fairy to a fly. How hard is it to catch a fly? And it is really hard to catch a fly.
Yeah.
And those things are supposed to be things you can see. There are sometimes, thanks to my glasses, I can't see the fly. I'm just listening by sound. And fairies can apparently go invisible. So that's going to make it even harder than a fly to catch. So you better have some good reflexes if you're going to catch or beat a fairy. Now, it might just be a one-hit fight against the fairy where you manage to get one hit on the fairy and you win. But if I have a hard time catching a fly and I got a B and the princess only got C's, in her grades, then there's no way she's catching the fly. There's no way she's catching the fairy. Fairy wins.
Okay, yeah, so fairy figures out some way. It's hard for a fairy to overpower a princess, because a princess is a human.
Well, fairies do have proportionally pretty decent strength. So you can just, lift up some things and drop it on the head, when she's distracted elsewhere.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you can figure out some tricksy way of...
That said, it won't be a quick, easy fight for the fairy to win. It will take a while to knock the princess out or get her to admit defeat.
Yeah,
but I'm going to have to side again on fairy on this one. If that princess had gotten better grades or, had like some sort of training and all that, and I could trust her on her reflexes, I could go that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, C- isn't an F, but...
No, but I got a B, and I can't trust myself to catch a fly very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, if there's a fly in here in the summer, I'm closing stuff, I'm locking down doors to get the fly stuck in one room, and then I am hunting it down in that one room, and sometimes it'll take me like a half hour. So, like fly is mundane. Fairy, albeit maybe a little bit larger than the fly, has fairy powers. That's going to wind up being a long thing. If the fly could fight back, how well could I, succeed on this fly killing mission of mine in the summer? And if I can't do it with my bee very easily, and it's against the fairy, and she's getting the C, so that's just how the math works out for me.
Okay. Another scenario. Okay, so the big bad evil guy, monster, wizard, dragon, he is captured and...
Wait, how come the bad guy gets to be monster, wizard, and dragon when we have just the fairy and just the princess?
Okay.
Is he cheating the system? Is this why he's the villain?
How about this? It is the winner of another bracket of monster versus wizard versus dragon. They all did the same thing we just did now, and the winner of those three.
They had a love child.
Which, well, we just don't know which. They're held in suspense. We don't know which one of those three
of the
actually won that contest. Whichever one of those got to the top. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I might have to do is at the end of the next episode to see who the villain was. Okay.
He is holding them captive, and there's lava about to engulf the princess and the fairy, sort of at two opposite ends of the giant
castle.
Yeah, under the castle.
Okay.
But unfortunately, you have only time to rescue one of them.
Now, see, this would have been maybe a different answer had I been single. It's like save the princess, and then live happily ever after.
Yeah.
But I'm married. I am already living happily ever after.
She'd definitely give you. You don't have to marry the princess. You can just get money.
Well, it seems rather shallow, dude.
You won't get anything. Well, actually, from the fairy, you might get some different magical boon.
But here's the thing: if things are going down where I can only rescue one, that means things are going down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to need some help, and who's going to be better help?
Oh, so it's back to the teammate answer.
I'm afraid so, because I'm just thinking of the fairies I'm seeing through fiction, and I recall at least one that granted super strength to anyone whenever she sneezed. Although they never carried Pepper around with them, you'd think with a superpower. If she sneezes, you'd have Pepper with you all the time.
Well, back in the day, they used to have a thing called snuff and snuff boxes. And
no,
this
was a kind of a kids thing. It was called Kid
so
Video.
They wouldn't have snuff then.
Look it up. Kid Video, 2Ds. They did some good songs. Very, very late 80s, early 90s feel to it. But the fairy, who was dressed in 80s, exercise outfit.
Mm-hmm.
She would grant anyone around her super strength whenever she sneezed, and because it was a kind of a kids thing mixed in with songs. No, there was no way snuff thing was happening.
Okay.
But yeah, if things are going bad, I got to try and get out of this horrible, 3-headed wizard, dragon, demon castle. Yeah, I'm gonna need some help.
Okay.
Unless, I guess, maybe I could be guaranteed a really good, cushy position for life, in which case I might be convinced or bribed to go for the princess. I won't lie, I can be bribed on that sort of thing.
The princess is yelling out. They're both yelling at you. You can hear them both over the sound of the bubbling lava.
Oh, I'm going to feel guilty.
And the princess is yelling, save me, save me. I'll give you a big reward. And the fairy is yelling out, save me, save me. It's the right thing to do, and I'll probably help you.
In which case, I'm going to have to book it harder than ever, save the princess.
Oh, okay.
I won't lie. I could use some cash, and a nice, sweet, cushy job for life setup would be even better.
Wow, okay.
So, dang it. Sorry, fairy, but if this had been a landless princess, I probably would have gone for you, hands down.
Okay.
I'm a man with needs.
And one last thing. One of these is going to become mythological in the next year. It's going to go extinct, and it'll be only told of in fairy tales
or princess tales.
But you are the one who has to choose which one no longer exists. Will it be princesses or fairies?
I'm going to get rid of princesses. Because the princess can still be another person. If the fairy can't be a fairy, it's a corpse.
Oh, okay.
So if I get rid of fairies, they are all dead. If I get rid of princesses, they just got to find a new job. So, which is almost a shame though, because I kind of dig the royalty when they're not being really abusive. Say what you want about the British monarchy right now, they are revenue positive.
Yeah.
They generate more money than they consume, and that's not even including the amount of stuff they sell for for tabloids and collectors' plates and stuff like that. So, I will feel bad about harming the economy in that regard, but at least I'm not killing people, which is the ultimate, standard for me.
Okay, I think that's all I had for those ones. But I think
that's not bad. This is kind of an interesting.
I think Fairies came out ahead in that one.
I found that to be a little surprising too. I guess the power they have is just a little bit more versatile, which beats out status, and except for everything except like I can get you a good job, in which case Fairies are not known as being good employers. Mm-hmm. So, oh well. But yeah, that brings us almost perfectly close. I kind of like that one. That was just the rapid fire shot.
Okay.
I'm
gonna quick little topic.
Next week, I'll have to figure out something like an evil wizard or a dragon. I'll have to fire you off a few questions on that one.
Oh, sweet.
So, yeah. Nice little Rorschach thing there. A quick decision-making process. I didn't know I was going to ultimately side with the princess on saving the lives. Mm-hmm. I figured I'd go for the fairy because she'd help me, but then you reminded me about like a good job, what the princess can do for my professional career. So,
yeah,
and I retire from this adventuring lifestyle.
And I suppose, at the end of the rescue mission, I suppose either one of them can't really hold you responsible for like not saving the other. Like, although that you'll be sad, but they'll be like, well, you had to make a choice. So.
I mean, I thought briefly for a second I could write a novel, based on my experiences, like a tell-all novel, what it was like to have such a heart-rending decision to save one versus the other, and then make some cash off that. Yeah. Well, that's not going to get me perpetuities for life, so got to side with the princess. But then, even if it's only a cash reward, put it in the bank, live off the interest. Maybe set a little money aside for a fairy memorial fund. Make myself feel a little bit less guilty. Harsh. I didn't know that's how I'd go, but I did.
I put you in this impossible situation, so I take the blame as the dungeon master.
Can I pull a Batman and save them both at once? Because I choose to be, not because I have to be.
I was going to give you that option. I suppose. I mean, the time we.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. It's like in those things, it's supposed to be A versus B, and choosing choice C is seen as like, no, you can't do that. Well, it's not a possible scenario.
I think I would give you that option. Probably rescuing the fairy would be that sort of option because the fairy could fly over and save the princess or something, right?
But that's the thing. I'm assuming this is we got to get out of here now. And while I could see myself trying to save both. I am a husband and a father, and I do have obligations elsewhere, so I cannot risk the added danger.
Okay.
I have to try and play it as safe as possible. If I can save one, I'm saving one, but I can't save both without making like a widow and a half orphan.
What if you're just controlling? Let's say this is a character that you're controlling now. You're controlling the knight.
If this is Sir Ryan of the Royal Guard, sort of thing. Yeah, I'm saving them both.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a charge attack. I grab the fairy with my one free hand, and I do a charge and jump over the lava, grab the princess, do a tuck and roll, and land on the far side.
Yeah. And then you roll a 1, and all three of you die in the lava.
That's okay, because that was only a fictional character.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll roll up a new one. Sir, not Ryan. I will make myself a royal person. For thing. That way I don't have to deal with you're so much more above me. And I'll put all my ranks into the jump skill so I can be a Lord of Leaping.
Very good.
And thus I can succeed on the next time that challenge rolls around. All right. So I think that's been a pretty interesting little potpourri of stuff there.
And we have more topics for next week.
Well, hopefully we've got more topics for next week. We should have topics from here till eternity.
And for next year. Should we say something about it being... Because this is our last Simulationist for 2016.
It is the last 2015 simulation, yeah. There will be more 2016 barring apocalypse.
Yeah.
If I got to start scrounging for food, and this is going to take a bit of a lower priority, Josh. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah,
as I've proven with these questions you fired at me, I do have a hierarchy of priorities.
All right.
And they are oddly well defined, I've noticed.
But I guess the plan, barring that, is just to keep on doing another 52 or however many
So
Sundays
long as
end up-
society doesn't crumble in the next 7 days, you'll catch at least one iteration in 2016.
Okay. Oh, and really quick, Facebook.com/thesimulationist. You can comment our Facebook page. Twitter @SpaceBoot1 is my Twitter handle.
That's the numeral 1, not ONE.
Yeah, Spaceboot numeral 1. YouTube.com/thesimulationist. Thesimulationist@gmail.com is our email address for longer messages. And you can support us on Patreon. You can write reviews on iTunes and Stitcher and anywhere else you happen to Google us up. And tell a friend.
Perhaps,
in real life.
the best support is telling a friend.
Yeah, that would
Word of mouth out there. Heck, start up with your friend. Next time you're chatting with them, say, like who'd you save if you could only save one, princess or a fairy?
Yeah, I would be interested to hear our listeners also their answers to each of those questions in turn if you feel
I think
like
it depends a lot, like on their opinion on both royalty and like how mischievous the Fae folk can be.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'd like to hear that. Yeah. Their
you
opinion.
get a lot of variation in these answers. I assume the best out of both, I suppose. Once I got that whole personality thing out of the way. Because
Right.
if like that princess is just an absolute terror to be around. I am saving the fairy, stopping to light a cigar, and then I'm heading on my way out slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you just one other question? I suppose if you don't even know, if somebody's sort of saying, I have a princess for you, but I can't tell you anything about her personality, and I have a fairy lined up for you, but I can't tell you anything about them, is there...
I'm going to assume worse about the princess, because if it's like a princess, but I can't tell you anything about her personality, that must be pretty bad. But fairies are known for being a little weird and a little crazy sometimes, so I can't tell you anything about the fairy's personality. It could just be like, what, is the fairy like super morose or something weird or crazy? Is it like a depressed fairy? I'm okay with that, because they're already considered to be a little bit more off the mark. So like, you can't say the princess. My God, that princess must be horrible. It's like I got a princess for you, and let me tell you, she's got a great personality. Yeah. Say what you want about the rest, but her personality just can't be beat. Take from that one what you will. So maybe that reveals more about what I know of what people don't say.
Indeed. Okay, so I don't know, wrap up.
So think about that for yourself next week. Who would you save, in all these situations, A or B, A or B? They were tied to train tracks. Who would you save, a princess or a fairy? The fairy, in which case, would literally be on just the one track.
Yep.
Have some fun with it. Ask some people questions on that. Yeah. Make up your own. Enjoy.
Yeah, we certainly did. All right, well, I guess we're done.
I've been Ryan Kirkby.
I've been Josh 11.
We'll see you again in 7 days.
Thanks, Emma.